right, good afternoon and welcome to today's LAFCO meeting for Alameda County. Today's date is March 14th and it is 2 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if we could, please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. This meeting is being held in the Dublin City Hall with one or two remote people calling in, as we can see on the board. Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Faria. Here. Commissioner Hobart. Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Miley.
Here.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Marchand.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Tam. Alternate Commissioner Von Heater Leopold.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Warner.
Here.
Let the record reflect the roll call has been taken and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, our next agenda item is agenda item 3. This is public comment. Anyone from the audience may address the commission on any matter not listed on the agenda, but within the Alameda County LAFCO a responsibility. The commission cannot act on any matters that are not listed on the agenda. I see no speakers in the room. Oh, I see a speaker in the room and he's got a speaker card.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, do we have any speakers from home? Are we allowing remote call in for speakers? Do we have any?
We are, and we do not see anybody really
Thank
speak
you.
at the moment.
Some organizations are one and some are the other. Okay, so we do have a speaker card. Is it on this agenda item 3?
It's on public comment.
All right. Well, you walked in just in time, sir. The microphone is yours. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and I assume there are items not listed on this agenda.
Yes, I am. So this commission is supposed to be doing facilitation between agencies and among agencies, right, within Alameda County. And one of them might be a utility, a Zone 7 water agency. Another one might be a city, the city of Pleasanton. And I don't know if any of you ever get emails, but let's first talk about the emails. Now, let's say I had a comment about this and I went to your website and I said, send us a public comment. And let's say I managed to get through, which I think it's possible. Do you know what the limit is on that? About 50 words, no more than about 50 words on your website. How is it that a government agency, do you have a, you know, is Comcast, is AT&T charging you too much money per word? What is wrong with your government agency that on your website for the last, and by the way, your staff has known about this problem for a month. You can't get a hold of your IT department. You have an IT department there? You know, Microsoft, whatever, Alameda County, they can't help you to, you know, lift the limit, allow people to give you more than 50 words of public comment via email on your website. If you, I checked this morning, it said limit 250 characters. That's about 44 words using an English language average, assuming you're not communicating in some foreign language to your commission. Secondly, the issues of what is going on with these agencies. If you look at the issue, which is water meters, there was a contract. The Alameda, you know, it turns out that the Alameda, that all these issues fall under laws, and these laws are what? They're generated and produced and approved and sponsored, they're ordinances or whatever, by the Board of Supervisors of Alameda County. And did you know that this contract, this requirement to have various, charge various fees for water meters according to the size, it all stems from, sponsored by your Board of Supervisors, Alameda County. So if there's a problem, you can just, another possibility besides trying to, you know, go into the details of whatever it is the dispute is about, is to just go back to your Board of Supervisors and ask them to change the law. just like they did with the recall laws and everything else. So it's very possible to do that, right? And oh, by the way, on water meters, East Bay Mud did a study. And it turns out that as the water meters get larger, the next step up from small, regular small to big is a 50% greater volume of water use. Thank you.
Mr. Brew, could I ask you a question? Could I ask you, Eric and Nesta, did you try to do an attachment when you did a submission?
No, it says right underneath, limit 250 characters.
No attachments then?
No attachments.
Okay, all right.
Straight up.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to respectfully ask staff to look into being able to expand the verbiage and even include an attachment.
We've always, we're looking into it. I will say when I do receive an email, I respond directly to that person's email address and follow up with them. And that will provide them a direct email where they can submit, unlimited response to me.
Oh, I see. I see how it's working. Okay. All right. I appreciate that information. Okay, I'm going to close the public comment period and we're on to agenda item 4, which this agency is looking to appoint a designated representative. There is a nomination, I believe, for Commissioner Warner. Do we have any additional information about what this representative would do?
Thank you, Chair. This representative will be our labor negotiator on behalf of LAFCO with the county.
I understand. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Any comments from Mr. Warner? Are you accepting the nomination if appointed?
Sure.
You would? Okay, I just want to be sure. If we go to all of the process of voting for you and you'd say, no, I'm not interested. Okay, I'm looking for a motion and a second for this item.
Motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we don't have anyone calling in remote at this time. So I'm going to accept that as a unanimous vote. Okay, thank you very much. Our next agenda item is we're going to adjourn to closed session and conference with our labor negotiator. There is a room in the back. So at this time, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to the continuation of our March 14th LAFCO Alameda meeting. Could we report out on closed session, please?
There's nothing to report out.
All right, thank you very much. Now we're on to agenda item 6, which is consent items. They're normally considered routine in nature and passed by a single vote. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, I would like to enter, if anybody would like to make a motion.
I'll move approval.
And that,
Motion made and seconded. Again, everybody's in the room. We don't have anyone remote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Agenda item 7 is the final report on fire protection and emergency medical services staff.
Thank you, Chair. This item is for the Alameda LAFCO to complete its scheduled municipal service review on its fire protection and emergency medical services. This includes accepting a final report prepared by our consultant PCA Associates and highlighted by an executive summary outlining determinations and recommendations. This also includes for the commission to codify any resolution over those determinations. As a public review of the draft report, this was presented to the commission for discussion and feedback and made available to the public at Alameda LAFCO's regular meeting held on November 9th of last year. The commission provided thorough feedback and edits and incorporated those edits into the final report. The draft was distributed to all of the affected agencies included in that with a 30-day public review and comment period. Notice was also published in the local newspaper and posted on the LAFCO website. Staff received at least 5 comments regarding technical edits, and those are shown in the attachment, and those affected agencies from the 5 affected agencies that have been incorporated in the final report. Both MSR consultants and LAFCO staff recommend retaining all the spheres for all the affected agencies. Staff recommends the commission formally accept the final report with distribution to those affected agencies, as well as adopt a resolution codifying the associated determinations and recommendations. A presentation of the final report will now be provided by the principal planner from PCA Associates, Jennifer Stevenson.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. Uh, On your screen, you'll have the presentation that I'll go over today, and this is the second time I'll be speaking to you. So I'm going to try not to repeat exactly what was said at our last meeting, but I will provide a very brief summary of that content. But also what I'd really like to focus on today are the changes or additions that were made in response to the comments that were received. So let's see here. The commission is well aware of what an MSR is and its purpose to inform the spheres of influence, and then the required determinations that the commission must come to as codified in the law. These determinations are summarized at the end of of each agency's chapter in the report. So if you have limited time.
That black box down so that we can read all the text. Is that possible visually? Sorry, just one moment, Jennifer.
Oh, is that on your end? Okay.
Yes, thank you. All right,
Okay.
perfect. Now we can read the entire text. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, excellent. So in any case, these determinations are found at the end of each agency's chapter in the review. So I highly recommend, if you have limited time and not enough time to read all 500 pages, to please focus on the overview and then the determinations at the end of each agency's chapter. The agencies reviewed are the 4 special districts: Alameda County Fire Department, East Bay Regional Park District, the Emergency Medical Services County Service Area, Fairview Fire Protection District, and then the 14 cities, some of which provide fire and EMS services by contract through ACFD. Those are asterisked here in the list. So Dublin, Emeryville, Newark, San Leandro, and Union City. And then your executive officer already went over kind of the process to date, and here you are at a public hearing with the potential for adoption. A reminder that generally what's adopted in an MSR is not every word of the text, but a focus on those determinations that are required by law, as well as the recommendations. So the November 9th meeting, I did present quite a lengthy presentation on the content of the MSR. And just as a reminder, as what was covered for those that maybe weren't able to be present at that time, we covered the challenges to fire service in the county. Those include constrained budgets, increased costs, meeting expanding standards, multiple providers leading to diminished interoperability response and efficiency, duplication or lean staffing of certain positions, and larger, more frequent wildfires. There's also the increased dry, hot weather leading to more intense wildfires. Alameda County agencies collaborated on many of the strategies on a regional level to address climate change, particularly through ABAG, Plan Bay Area 2050, and as well as other cooperative planning documents. There's been an extension of wildland-urban interface into areas of greater fire hazard severity as a result of development in these areas. As it expands outwards from the urban core, its WUI extends into areas of greater fire hazard severity, thus greatly increasing the need for preventative and protective measures and services. Right now, there's approximately 70 miles of WUI separating local government responsibility areas, or LRAs, from the 246,000 acres of CAL FIRE jurisdiction. There's been enhanced planning requirements regarding land use and public safety planning, as well as climate action planning. Given the accelerating impacts of climate change on wildfire risks, particularly in these WUI areas, several legislative requirements have been established to align public safety planning efforts with hazard mitigation and land use planning efforts. The focus of the new requirements mandates that the safety element of the general plan be updated concurrently with the housing element update every 8 years. The safety element should also contain general hazard and risk reduction strategies complementary to those of the local hazard mitigation plan. And additionally, the LHMP is to be incorporated into the safety element as a supplementary attachment. All Alameda agencies are working towards compliance with these requirements, with many of the agencies already in compliance. And finally, we covered governance structure options. Those included regionalization of communications, implementation of closest resource dispatch countywide, regionalization through consolidation, consortiums, contract services, and JPAs, regional planning and coordination of prevention and suppression efforts, the possibility of becoming a contract county to the state, so in essence, taking over CAL FIRE's role, and reorganization of Fairview Fire Protection District. So there were a few additions to the document that were made in response to the 5 comments that your executive officer referenced. Those were, we compiled a comprehensive list of the recommendations that were found throughout the report into the executive summary. So that has been added. We also incorporated examples of ambulance provider contracts designed to address challenges with providers meeting contract standards. Those examples were City of San Diego and Contra Costa. And then also added content and discussion of agricultural buffers in wildland-urban interface areas. With regard to the emergency medical services and compliance challenges, in December 21, Falk was non-compliant in 2 of its 27 zones. And at that time, Falk was on a corrective action plan that was initiated after deficiencies in August and September of the same year. So they were penalized $135,000. The most recent non-compliance occurred in July 22, again in 2 zones. At that time, they were only marginally non-compliant with meeting their response times 89.81% as opposed to 90% of the time. So it's like I mentioned here, only marginally non-compliant. And since that time, they have been compliant. Other mitigation efforts by the EMS CSA to improve response times have included continued staff recruitment efforts, reevaluation of posting locations, revising response plans, engaging hospitals to address ambulance patient offload time challenges, engaging with other ambulance companies to evaluate partnership opportunities, and engaging with fire departments to provide ambulances for them to staff within their jurisdiction. Other areas that have struggled with similar compliance challenges are making use of the alliance model. So for example, in 23, the City of San Diego negotiated their contract with Falk to take authority over billing and staffing due to Falk noncompliance, specifically regarding response times and staffing levels. This model involves the city hiring multiple companies to increase ambulance coverage. Falk and other private providers will own and staff ambulances operate in San Diego, but the city will control how ambulances are deployed and collect patient payments. In the new renegotiated contract, Falk is required to subcontract with a second ambulance provider to boost service and must maintain the average number of advanced life support ambulance hours it has provided since the initial contract. If Falk falls below that average over a week, the company must pay a $50,000 fine. And if it fails for 2 weeks within a month, the previous fine structure is activated and there is a much steeper fine. Let's see here. So the model does shift the financial risk from Falk to the city as the primary biller. But proponents have argued that this model is beneficial as state law gives public agencies better reimbursement rates from Medicare and Medi-Cal over private ambulance providers. Contra Costa is an example of a successful adaptation of this model where the county runs a surplus and invests money into service enhancement. So it's recommended that Alameda County explore this option of adopting the alliance model to address Falk's compliance issues. Agricultural buffers. So at the previous meeting, agricultural buffers as a means to address wildfires in these WUI areas was discussed. There is a current trend that involves utilizing agriculture as a strategy to prevent or mitigate the severity of wildfires. Farmers and ranchers are adopting practices to manage their agricultural lands in a manner that establishes natural buffers and in some cases rejuvenates ecosystems affected by wildfires. Areas are irrigated farmland and well-maintained pasture lands are less susceptible to wildfire compared to dry brush. And the wildland urban interface where developed areas meet undeveloped land faces the highest risk of property, life, and natural resources due to wildfire. Since farmers and ranchers often reside in these interface areas, they serve as a frontline defense against wildfires by effectively managing the land between wildland and urban areas. So there's potential for further incorporation of these agricultural management practices in Alameda County to prevent against wildfires. Some of these management approaches include what you're seeing on your screen: managed grazing and livestock oversight, initiation of fire breaks, vigilant vegetation management, implementation of crop rotation and planting cover crops, and utilization of mechanical methods for fuel reduction. The final slides that I'll be covering are the compilation of recommendations that you'll find in the executive summary. There's about 15 of them in order as they are recommended throughout the report. First, you'll find the recommendation for the development of a regional countywide dispatch strategy that employs the closest resource for the fastest response time, and an encouragement that East Bay Regional Park District continue to participate in regional planning and coordination efforts. For the case of the cities of Albany, Alameda, Berkeley, and Howard, and Livermore, there were no governance structure options specific to these cities, as well as Pleasanton. However, it's recommended that the departments continue to seek ways to collaborate and enhance services on a regional level. As already mentioned, it's recommended that EMS CSA ensure an improved contract is negotiated with the subsequent provider to ensure adequate levels of services, or explore the alliance model as an option. Also, the EMS CSA is requested to provide a 6-month update to the commission regarding the status of the contract and update to those contract provisions, as well as compliance matters. The City of Dublin should continue to evaluate response times, particularly in the West, to ensure adequacy of services there. It's also recommended that Alameda County Fire pursue regional cooperation and consolidation of services in the areas of dispatch, administration, and operations on behalf of its contract cities. The city of Fremont should continue to evaluate response times near Station 1 to ensure adequate services as the station nears response capacity. And the city of Hayward must address financial structural imbalances to eliminate adverse financial consequences for fire protection. And the city of Newark requires a training tower to allow for live fire training, which is essential. And finally, the city of Union City should add a direct link to agendas on its website. I know it sounds small, but it's one of those state requirements that agendas need to be available on the opening page, city page, and not found in a drop-down menu. And then movement of 3 engine companies west is recommended to meet the goals for effective response time also for the city of Union City. And that is all. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions? Yes.
So I have some questions for Jennifer and some for Rachel. The first one for Rachel is, so the recommendations, how do we transmit them to these local agencies?
So that is an item for recommendation is for the commission to approve staff to draft or form an outline for those recommendations and directly send them to each agency and then have them provide at least a 6-month update to the commission on what they're doing to reach those objectives.
And we've done that, whatever, 5 years ago. What response rate did we have?
I would say it was probably around 30%. A lot of the cities at that time ignored LAFCO. I would say the special districts responded. And I think that was just mainly due to staff resources. You know, if we're adamant on following up with those agencies, I think we can get 100% response rate.
Okay, so we're going to change a little bit of our strategy and get hopefully a better response rate.
Exactly.
Okay, and Jennifer, so my reading of by the way, I actually enjoyed reading this one. Not that I don't enjoy all of them, but this one just resonated with me for some reason, because I know how important fire protection and emergency responsiveness is to people, probably is more than they, want to realize, or the rest of us realize. Yeah, I've noticed the trend that there should be some sort of a lot more coordination, which sounds fairly reasonable, but also some consolidation. But I've noticed that perhaps we've come to an equilibrium. Is that what you've noticed? Not necessarily in Alameda County, but just statewide? Because I know there was maybe 10 years ago, there was a lot of consolidation happening because it would improve efficiencies. What do you see as the trend today, if I'm even halfway right, how are you seeing the future?
I would say I can see the trend that you're mentioning mostly in the urban areas, that it has reached somewhat of an equilibrium where cities want to retain power over the services that are being provided. So perhaps they're not seeking consolidation as they once were. But in rural areas, it's a different story that I think that they're just finding their stride in seeking consolidation to some level. And there's plenty of opportunities there.
Right. Well, a lot of those are also just turning to California Fire, right? Cal Fire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to a certain degree, the ones that can afford it. Which there aren't many, I have to say. It's quite costly to go the Cal Fire route.
Thank you.
That's your last question. All right. Any other questions? Yes, Supervisor.
Yeah, did I hear you mention inoperability when it came to Alameda County Fire?
Not inoperability, interoperability. I think it was with regard to the fact that there's several service providers and they are all on separate communication system, not all. Some are on the same communication system and some have chosen to retain their own communication system, which really diminishes interoperability. So if there's a multi provider response, then that communication between them is really limited and constrained because of those multiple communication systems.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none. We are looking to accept the final report with a distribution to all affected agencies is one of the two options. There is a second option. Would you outline just both options? I want to, or accept it the way it is.
Yes, Chair Brown. So the goal or the recommendation is to accept the final report with distribution to all the affected agencies, as well as adopt a resolution codifying the associated determinations and recommendations. And I just want to emphasize that this is a public hearing item, so we will need to open the public hearing for the public.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do we have a speaker?
Yes, ma'am. We
Speaker
have
card?
one public comment. Mr. Brio, you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
There's a lot of misunderstanding about this ambulance contract. The county doesn't pay the ambulance providers for the service. The county receives money from these providers in exchange for the exclusive, the operating monopoly contract where they get to bill these private patients and take their money at whatever I don't know how they set the rates. Now, the LEMSA and the Health Services, County Health Services Agency, the county LEMSA, they've lost track of this contract. They issued the they sent the RFP to the state of California for approval last February 2023. They said it would take 5 months. It didn't happen after 5 months. They said, well, we're just waiting for we're still waiting for the state. These county staff has lost track of the contract. They're 8 months behind schedule. Then the recommendation to develop a regional strategy to dispatch the closest resource. Well, that happened once, already happened in Hayward, as a staff of Supervisor Halbert figured out. The Hayward Fire Department, they were out there working with their people several times, several people, several different independent instances where they took the person and took them to a hospital, which in their judgment was required for the health and safety of their patient. They got a cease and desist letter from the county. The Hayward Fire Chief got a cease and desist letter from your county LEMSA telling them to stop doing that interoperation, fastest response kind of thing, where Hayward puts the health of their patients above the profits of the county or of FELC. And then this idea to negotiate an improved contract with a 6-month updated service, you should go and find out what's happening with the RFP and see if they don't lose track of for another 8 months, or God knows what's going on there. And then also the alliance model in the city of San Diego, the FALC threatened to file a lawsuit against San Diego because they're not happy with this. Evidently, they're not happy with whatever's going on there. I don't know why, but and the same thing with the firefighters of Alameda County. Alameda County Fire Department, their union's very unhappy. They want to have the opportunity to get a piece of this, and they don't like being cut out. And the report, let's look at specifically on page 35. There's population projections on page 35, call for 5 or 6% population growth in Alameda County, countywide. It's a ridiculous number, of course, because on page 125 or 189, depending on how you count in this report, the population growth is 1%, the same numbers. It's internally contradictory. Is it 1%? Yes. Is it 5 or 6%? No. Internal contradictory numbers. Let's find those RFPs, figure out what's been going on for 8 months.
All right, thank you, sir. Do we have anybody that is calling in?
Or speakers?
All right, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, I look at there is two, if I read this correctly, we have alternative one, as stated earlier, alternative two is consider, continue the report to a future meeting. So I'm looking for feedback from our group, commission, or a motion. I'd like to make a motion.
I'll make the
You're
motion.
doing
say,
so
I don't
well
have it,
today.
yeah.
The two of you are a pair.
We're alert.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
All right, and I will, Hernandez will second.
Okay, all right. Please take roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thanks for your hard work, Stephanie, or Jennifer, excuse me, Jennifer. All right, we're on to agenda item 8, which is the draft operating budget and work plan.
Thank you, Chair Brown. The proposed operating budget presented to the commission sets operating expenses at $818,538. And this is a net increase of $33,798, or a 4.3% increase from this current fiscal year. The increase is supplemented with a fund balance offset of around $270,000, and that's just a $5,000 increase from this current fiscal year. There's a total increase of agency contributions by $25,798, and that's 5.3% from this fiscal year. The operating expenses total are divided between labor and non-labor, and that's at a 57 to 43% split. Contingencies this time have been integrated into each budget unit and not shown specifically, since the county usually does not designate the contingency funds. So this allocation will be accounted for in our budget and readily available for use if necessary. The proposed work plan includes a health and EMS ambulance services municipal service review, now that the commission approved the study schedule amendment. And there'll be a continuation of the MSR on police protection services. And finally, another major project is our countywide water and wastewater committee. Adoption of the draft operating budget and work plan for fiscal year 2024 to 2025 will precede a formal public review and comment period and conclude with final action taken at our next regular meeting scheduled for May 9th. And with that, I'll return the item to the commission.
Any questions? We're looking to adopt a resolution. I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No public speakers, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Close the public hearing. LAFCO is recommending adopt the resolution, circulate the proposed budget for review and comment, and direct staff to return with a final budget as a part of the noticed hearing at the next regular meeting. We have a motion?
So I'll move approval.
Is that all right? Okay, I thought I heard it over here. All right, we have a motion made. Second?
Sure.
Second, thank you. All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. We're buzzing along. All right, our next agenda item is 9, establish an ad hoc committee to review and negotiate a county MOU.
Thank you, Chair. So the county MOU agreement with LAFCO, and that's our MOU with the county for contracting professional services, that will expire on June 30th of this year. Staff is requesting for the commission to select 3 commissioners to help negotiate a new MOU agreement with the county and outline our relationship going forward. So our last MOU agreement was approved on May 29th of 2019. And with that, I will return the item to the chair, and with the recommendation that the commission select 3 commissioners to create an ad hoc committee to review and negotiate LAFCO's MOU agreement with the county.
Any questions? All right, do we have anybody that would like to be on this MOU agreement negotiation?
So I'll volunteer.
We've got Mr. Warner and we've got Spuns Pandorio. Is everybody okay with that group? Okay. It is a business, but it is still a recommendation. So I'll support and make a recommendation from the floor that Splendorio, Ralph, and Bob Warner make up our group of 3.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And last is matters initiated by members of the commission. Any matters to be initiated? Seeing none, executive officers report, please.
Brown, I just wanted to notice the commission that staff on behalf of the commission contributed $5,000 for the Cal LAFCO staff workshop, which will take place in Pleasanton from April 24th to the 26th. And this is also based on the commission's small contracting authority, where the executive officer can negotiate contracts up to $5,000. We are hosting a mobile workshop, and that will take place at Wente Vineyards. And a presentation from a speaker from the city of Livermore will outline Measure P and the future South Livermore sewer extension. Lunch will also be provided by Wente Vineyards, and usually Cal LAFCO is very short on budget to make this possible. This $5,000 contribution is essential. So I really want to thank the commission for this contribution and wanted to announce that, which would be a huge benefit for all the attendees. And then also I included a letter from the cities of Livermore and Dublin on the Crosby property. Staff received this letter of December 26th of last year from both cities of Livermore and Dublin, stating that they will work together to achieve a compromise by the summer in regards to the Crosby property in annexation or sphere amendments for that boundary. And that is all I have for that report.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. One more.
Sir, please.
Wait
Questions.
first, I'm sorry.
Supervisor.
For the Cal LAFCO meeting, is anyone from the commission going?
And I meant to add that, perhaps I would add that in the informational item. April will send a follow-up email to all the commissioners to sign them up if they would like to attend the mobile workshop. And so far, no commissioners have signed up, but we'll do that on behalf of the commissioners.
So just for my own benefit, is it a protocol for like our chair to welcome folks?
Yeah,
or
that's
anything?
where I was going.
Okay.
Yeah, so Chair Brown is aware she will be in attendance for the welcoming ceremony.
Yes, I got a speech and everything.
All right.
We're prepared. We're prepared.
Okay, well, do you need any help from any rest of us? Please ask.
Not help, but it would be great, if you're available to attend. It should be a really great program. And that would be a good chance to meet other LAFCOs and meet other commissioners too on those LAFCOs.
Is there an informal wine tasting competition this year?
I can't speak on that, maybe off the record.
But Wente makes a nice lunch either way. Any other questions? All right. Could you repeat that date just again?
So that the mobile workshop will be held on April 24th.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the presentation. Information items.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing major to highlight. I do want to emphasize that we completed an Alameda LAFCO brochure from Chase Designs, and we'd be happy to distribute that to our cities and special districts. It's an informational brochure for those who ask, what is LAFCO? You can just send them this link, or we can also print out some copies too. It's beautiful, and hopefully that will be a good guide that we can showcase who we are. And just a reminder, our Form 700s are due April 1st. And we do expect a proposal from the city of Livermore to be presented at our May 9th meeting.
Okay. And with regards, you have noted that 2 commissioners have terms ending. How are those renewed? Just
Take care.
you take care of it and you'll take care of it?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, got a great team. I want to keep it all together. Okay, all right. Anything else to go? Okay, this meeting's adjourned.